You married me. You said all your vows.
And you said you were going to provide.
Yeah, yes, I said all of that. And it's 2022, 2023. Men have to be different. Men have to confront their vulnerabilities. And baby, here I am confronting it. I let go. Kyalla no.
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. Thank you so much for all the love you guys are giving us online. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love the family that we're creating. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. Today, voice of reason, Figile Ngongwane. Yes, girl. How you doing?
Hey, honey.
Hey. I love how
my sexy voice.
I love how the voice is fluctuating. One day it's a sexy voice, the next day it's a fun voice. It fluctuates. And then I have a very cool guest today with me. And we're going to be chatting all things to do with men's vulnerability. Oh, and actually, I'm going to ramble. I'm not going to ramble. I'm going to introduce him. Justice Mukheli, how are you?
Thanks for the lovely intro. I'm good. How are you?
Was it a lovely intro? I haven't even started that you're a world-renowned artist.
If there's the word cool, that's enough.
Cool is enough, right? And so we are chatting all things to do with men's vulnerability. And I invited Justice specifically because of his post. So not only is he an artist, but I think he's an activist around men's vulnerabilities, and that's how he uses his platform largely. And so just following that and following your post, I was like, oh my gosh, we need to get this guy on. We need to chat to him. And so that's basically how we got to this point. And thanks for being so cool, just being like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll come through. I was like, really?
So cool.
Really? Okay.
No, I think the way I look at things like this is it benefits me as much as it benefits you. So it's not a favor.
Yes.
So we are equally.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. And so just starting on that, for those of you that don't know, go out, follow Justice. You'll see that I know that you promote several, things around men's vulnerability. Just starting off with so he's got a twin brother and they call each other my love. I got to hang out with my love today.
Wow.
I had lunch. Oh, but
how romantic.
It's
I
so
love
romantic.
That.
And it's something that you don't see
often.
And not to diss you guys, but amongst vendor boys even.
Yeah.
You've got this impression of but they're so soft with each other and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And just across the board, just seeing that every day is just like another page of Justice's vulnerabilities, being shared. And how did that start? Where does it come from? Were you always like that? What's going on? What are you trying to do?
I don't know when the vulnerability journey started, but when I became more present in my own life, actually, I know. I dated my first girlfriend, and before I was dating her, I was a hard guy from the hood, and I didn't like to smile. I didn't want people to and that energy. Then when she got to know me a bit, she asked me, why do I portray such a tough version of myself when I'm so soft and so kind and so nice? Then I had to sit with that and think about it. Then being with her helped me tap into my softer side. And as I grow and progress, I felt that I am so much stronger soft, And, in our journeys, that relationship ended and I moved into another one. And I met my wife and she was incredible. She spotted my softness, and just her being herself was a great example for me to lead my life the way she does, because she's such a soft human being. And seeing her in her strength, as soft as she was, I wished that for myself. And when I led my life with that softness, damn, everything was so amazing, and yeah, being a soft guy is my superpower.
Hey.
How many guys get to say that?
And I even think, soft.
I even think being a woman, Brené Brown.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Talk.
Yeah.
And she talks about how the key to these deep relationships lies in your ability to be vulnerable. And it's so true, and it's such a tricky thing because being vulnerable does expose you to being rejected for it, right? But there's also a deepness that you're missing out on if you're not willing to take the risk of being rejected for your vulnerability in order to access this deep relationship.
I think beyond depth, the wins that come with being vulnerable far outweighs being a hard person. Far. If I look at my life as a tough guy. I still have tough elements in me. When I make my life decisions based on being a tough guy, the result of that never serves me. But the result of me being a vulnerable guy and say, okay, listen, this is where I am, this is what's happening, this is my situation. The result of that far outweighs the one of me walking in with a false confidence. Yeah.
Sure.
How did your environment respond to your new way of thinking?
To be honest, there was a shift in how I interacted with my friends, with my boys, and there was a shift in how I was looked at. But I'm fortunate, cause maybe not so much fortunate. I had more of my life being a tough guy than a soft guy. So my switch to being a soft guy, still I wasn't taken for granted. It was like,
Because they still know that other side. They were like, hey.
yeah, but the other thing, the biggest thing is that people will want to ridicule you for being softer, or they say, we know you, there's no way, sugar, So, or people will try to disqualify your effort to be a better man because they are scared to do the work themselves. So, yeah. So the result is mixed. But just to be blunt, it's a mixed bag because some people project their fears on you and they will say, no way, this is all a front, but...
I'm even like I think I've practically seen it with you and your posts. You've got this thing where you do these catch-up Sundays where people ask you questions.
Yes.
And every other Sunday, it's are you straight?
Yes.
Or are you... And this past Sunday, I think for the first time, you were like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
But it goes back to that. The assumption must be, he must be homosexual.
Yeah, he wants to come out.
Yes, he wants to come out because why is he so soft? Why is he calling all these men his love?
Yes. I remember, speak of that, even in my close circle sometimes, because when we do our work, we do the work as individuals. So part of the work I was doing was through my art. And I remember with my loves, which is my friends, and we're a collective, and we're doing an exhibition together. And my work was focusing on re-looking at masculinity for myself and asking all those questions. And I put myself in a space where, I wanted to ask myself, would I be straight if my dad didn't expect me to be straight and the world around me wanted me to be that? And my work was questioning all of that. And I was also just putting myself in that discomfort to know, because I wouldn't know, because I'm so scared of what my father would say. His voice still rings in my head as old as I am. So my art gave me that platform, and I was unpacking that, and there was a point where we were each talking about our works, and I was speaking about my work. And my best friend's mom, who is my mom, after that whole thing, she said to my best friend, King, justice over King. Then when we had a conversation later with my friend. Then my friend, after, and he's such a sensitive guy also, he came to me and said, Ndwana, I mean, you can talk to me, right? Then I'm like, about what? It's like, Ish, what you were talking about was, I felt like I don't know you. Are you gay? Are you what's happening? Then I had to re-explain it to him that I think as heterosexual men, it's important to put ourselves in that discomfort. Imagine being straight and that discomfort of being questioned for sexuality is very uncomfortable. Imagine for the person that is actually gay and that's their reality every day. They can't tap out and say, hi guys, I was just asking questions. They can say that, but they still live with the discomfort of accepting themselves or being accepted. So as straight men, it's important I feel for me, it's important to go through that journey and find out for myself without being scared. Because what do I have to lose? What's someone's opinion of me gonna do for me? Nothing. And I have everything to gain. From the healing. Yeah.
With many things, I've also learned to self-interrogate so much.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable, but it's worth.
Like, why do you think the way you do? And just looking at the whole, obviously there are these people that like have these, oh my gosh, why is he so sensitive about my gay and whatever have you. And but practically speaking, I want you to give us practical points now. Here's a man who says, okay, I hear you going on about vulnerability. How do I take the active steps to become more vulnerable? What does that look like practically day to day?
That's a hard question. I think my answer to that is be honest with yourself and be present enough to know that you are lying to yourself or you are saying something so that you are seen different, or you are saying something that you actually feel. And not for people. I think honesty starts with ourselves. When you're sitting on your own by yourself, in all different aspects of our life, it's important to step back and say, cool, this is what's happening. What is my true response to this? Or how do I see this? Or what kind of man do I want to be? Or the man I am I a good enough man to be around women or other people? Because it's unfortunate that, we grow up in societies that shape us, but what shapes us doesn't mean it's right.
Sure.
And
Sure.
yeah, because we've been shaped by other people's ways of being a man.
And we can carry over generational incorrect way of doing things into the next generation. And
Part of what shaped me was hearing my dad say, a man never negotiates with a woman. That's my father, right? And my father is my hero. And everything my father says should be right. But is it right?
sure.
So those are the questions you need to step back and ask yourself. Okay, cool. This is my reality. This is what, sometimes in our communities, we grow up seeing our uncles, brothers, and men around us have their wives, have girlfriends and different, or rather say, my uncles or men in my life have had their wives or their partners, and the relationship is so toxic that my uncles or the men in my society beat their partners. I grew up seeing that. And growing up seeing that in your immediate society normalizes that. That if I love her and she's out of line,
you need to beat her.
Is that right? Those are the things you need to step back and ask yourself that, okay, I grew up seeing, is this right? I grew up with my dad drinking and abusing substance in front of us. But I was lucky enough as a child to see that and say, I don't want to be this. This is not a man I want to be. These parts of him, right? Yes. And when I grow older, I find myself getting into those things. Now, there's this, there's, late, now I speak with a high voice when I'm speaking to my partner. Then, because my dad did that, is that right? Because all the men around my society were doing that, does that make it right? So that's the first step I think a man needs to get into that. Okay, I am shaped by my society or whatever that shapes you, doesn't mean it's right. You need to do the work to find your position.
What do you
What's
think?
right for you? And what informs your choices, is it right or not right, or that's where I would start, being honest with yourself and challenging what shapes you.
Give, I know you've got your hand up and you want to weigh in.
Yes, I do. I'm thinking of having the conversation for, what, the human beings often struggle with striking balance is what I've found. You see it a lot with American politics where leftists, people just go far left, and we always believe that my stance and where I'm at, if we do more of this, turn up the volume full on what I believe the world will be a better place. And then those who are far right also believe if we make the world more right, the world will be a better place. I've seen it with every single group, whether it's women, whether it's black people, whether it's whatever group. When we start, even with the LGBTQ group, like whenever we start to find our freedom, we never really have an aim or a target of this is where we would have struck balance. Now we need to maintain. What ends up happening is we go far this way or far that way. And that's where you get groups splitting. The reason I bring up that point is to say, you know, one of my struggles with guy friends, I understand the point of starting the conversation from the perspective of abuse, because it's one of the hardest things men do. And I think for me, it's been things that I've wanted and things that I've craved from my own friends is simple things like, can I have an in-depth conversation with you about how I feel about a certain thing? Can I have long conversations with you where we, you know, not just go, I'm fine, I'm shy. And that's where the conversation ends. Can I talk to you about how I feel about what my sister's going through? Can I talk to you about what my mother being sick and how it frightens me? Those have been the things that I've lacked from my friendships, right? It's things that I've sought after and tried to create environments where we can actually have those conversations. And I feel like for me, even though it is one of our biggest struggles, especially in our country, it's men being hard in the sense of being physically hard and physically abusive, and you know, not being willing to not only not negotiate with women, but also any man that's younger than him cannot teach him anything. Which, I mean, for that one, I feel like it's such an African problem. But I think for me, I've really lacked, and it's been missing. It's in my friendships. It's just those conversations, those practical everyday.
So if I were to speak about your challenges, what you seek in your friendships, I think the reality there is that, first of all, you can't hold your friends to the standards that you are in, right? Where you are, they are not there. So it might be tricky for them to see the importance of what you seek and how it can empower them, because they are not where you are in your journey. My advice is that build a new network of friends that can hold that for you or with you. Not to desert your friends, but I think there would be value.
I've usually found those to be women.
Yeah, but that's also okay.
But also
okay.
there's also knick-knack paddywhack. Maybe throw them a podcast in Yana that teaches them a little bit. They start catching up. But I think, you know, it is important that we share these things that enlighten us with the people around us. Otherwise, it does become like a huge discrepancy if you allow yourself to grow by yourself. Right? Yeah. So you're constantly being the one who's reading the books, who's putting in the work, and not that you're deserting your friends, but throw them something so that they, you know, start seeing some kind of light if they want to, if they're ready for it. If not, then they're not, you know.
We also have a responsibility to share information with our people when we get it.
Yes, but pointing towards it's usually women, 100%. I can't tell you how many. I remember the first time it happened where I picked it up. You know, it was happening before, but where I picked it up, that men find you just willing to say, tell me. Yo. And then my sister, you see the problem. I was literally sitting in Kofi, Brooklyn. I was in second year. And this old guy was sitting by himself, but he had a table by himself. So the waitress said, can these 3 girls sit with you? So he said, okay, sure. And I happened to sit next to him, because there wasn't any space in the club and whatever. And so I can't remember what my opening line was. You know, I'm a kid, but I've always been somebody who listens. How are you? Yo. And we swapped numbers, and afterwards it became a series of like texts. Today my sister said this. She moved in, and then after our dad passed away, never hit on me. Never, it was never anything romantic. The guy needed somebody
to talk to.
And I'm quite sure he had guy friends. And at that point, I couldn't really pick up. I thought, surely he's going to hit on me at some point.
Yeah, it's said that as men, we are not a safe space for each other.
Yes. It's creepy, actually, because after that, it just became a series of, that has happened to me. It happened to me last week, Friday. It happens to me all the time, where I'm like, where are your guy friends? What's going on with you guys?
Because if I'm having troubles at home and it's very hard for me, and I go to my friends and say, yo, guys, this is what's happening, and I break down. Firstly, I might be roasted. We are color. You know, so, and I can't blame them, because the society that shapes us made us that tough cookie, that you have to be this way. If you are not this way, you're not a man. So imagine all 5 of us, as my friends, or 6 of us, we are coming with that burden of our upbringing that, hey, I have to be a man,
And men just laugh.
Yeah.
You guys roast
At
each other.
everything.
At everything.
Yeah. Then I know my friend is going through it there. I can't even go to him and say, Mfana, what's happening? Talk to me. I'm here. Give me a hug or whatever. Because if I think if I do that, he's gonna be, what's happening? Nothing is happening. Because he thinks to be a man requires him
tough.
to be tough.
Sure.
And that's very unfortunate. I think now in the world, we are blessed to be in this generation that we can entertain the idea of dismantling that as men. That, I would imagine in the 70s or early 80s, there was no space for a 37-year-old to be thinking the way I'm thinking, because at that time, those policemen that are Africans and those dogs and those police cars were ready to hit any black man with a baton. So any man who was my age needs to be ready emotionally, physically. You need to be tough
To survive.
And imagine, we are brought up by fathers that grew up through that. So they had to make us tough for the environment we are going to grow up in.
Sure.
But we had the blessing of that shift that has happened in our country, that I don't have to present myself as he did.
Sure.
To be a strong man. So there is community for you. There is hope for your friends. There is hope for my friends. I also, in my friendship, yes, it's beautiful. They can hold me, but there are some things that are not there. And I can't hold them to where I am and my needs. I can only find it from the other men that are ready. Or a woman who's my friend, or other women that we can engage and hold that space for each other.
Sure.
I'm remembering once I texted a friend of mine, like there was something that's been burdening me, and he's been aware of it for a very long time, a certain dynamic. So I texted him and I'm like, yo, dude, imagine this just happened with this situation. And he was like, Joe, dude, wow. That's it.
Yeah.
Like literally 2-sentence text and that's it. So I actually just wanted to quickly go back to the reason why I opened up by saying, explaining the whole far right, far left thing, is I think personally, this is just me, I genuinely do believe that men, in terms of our inclination, we do lean more towards being hard, and I think it's why we in almost every community where men have gone through, not just men, but the whole society and community have gone through hardship, whether it's like genocide, whether it's colonization, whether it's what we went through, apartheid, like the men will tend to just find it so easy to just go far towards the side of hardness. And I think what we've lacked is the wisdom to understand that hardness works in certain circumstances. For the most part, the average human functions better when he operates in softness. Hardness is necessary for certain pragmatic decisions, but you have to strike a balance.
Yeah.
How soft do we go? Because I'm all about my man being vulnerable, but like,
How soft
You know,
you're gonna cry all the time. Nuggets and on nuggets, baby.
I love that you brought this up. After the emotional intelligence episode that we had, this guy said, "Ursh, cute, cute episode, but how willing are you to see my vulnerabilities?" And he said, because me and my friends have talked about this, that women will be there like, be vulnerable. And then the moment you show them this vulnerability, I would do, and even when you were talking about the apartheid thing and how men grew up, my mom often tells stories of her dad and how he was this, rough and tough guy, kokas in the neighborhood, right? And the one time there's a snake in the yard, and so like people were like, but it was only ladies and he was the only man in the house. Like, oh, no, go call your dad. So she immediately runs to her, says, Dad, hey, there's a snake. Oh, don't worry, Dad's gonna, because my dad is Mr. Rough and Tough guy. She says, next thing, I see my dad walking. And she says, I'm a kid, but I saw how I couldn't embarrass him, that Dad, you're scared of the snake. He says, obviously very scared of the, like, he'll take on other men in a fist fight.
Phobia, yes, snakes.
But the emotional intelligence of a little kid to see that this is my dad's vulnerability, that only my kid knows. I've been summoned to take care of the snake, and really just hoping that my kid doesn't expose, but just her emotional intelligence to see that, okay, let me not expose that my dad is actually fearful. Let's try to sort this snake thing out and whatever have you. But like so many things, because after that she says, that's what I knew. Yeah, my dad is scared of something, and that excitement as a woman to like, oh yeah,
give him towards.
So those are the things that I think of. And I was challenged when the guy asked me after the emotional intelligence thing, have you ever experienced where, like, on this journey of vulnerability, where either it's with, your current partner or other partners, where you've exposed this vulnerability, especially to a woman, not to men. Men, maybe it could be something that they're shocked to receive. But to a woman, and they're just like,
it's
out.
Too much. You're doing way too much.
Nah, lucky I haven't. My wife is amazing. So she encourages the vulnerability. But the question around how far does it go, for me, highlights that not just men needs to do the work. Sure. Because what shaped us didn't only shape men to be tough. It shaped your expectation of us.
Hey.
So you also need to go on a journey to untangle your view of how men should be.
Sure.
That is,
Because
I remember my friend.
I'll give you an example. Here, let's say we are sitting reflecting on the year. We are partners. I'm talking about my year has been hard. These are the reasons. And it challenged me at the most sensitive parts for me. And those sensitive parts, that's what your community and society shaped you to see my strength. And here I am talking to you about this, and I am breaking down. I can't keep it together. And all you are seeing is, Amaramuto, we are not going to be okay in this year. Our future is not going to be. This guy can't handle this. Right?
I am that girl.
But look at this. Right? You know that tears are incredibly healing, right? Tears are incredibly healing. If I'm talking to you about my most sensitive parts, which is my money, my money got challenged this year, babe. And I'm hoping for next year to be better. And I'm crying. Crying is gonna help me go past it. Because after those tears, after you cry, you feel stronger, you can sleep better. That worry is you move past it. I needed to cry to move past this thing. And I'm crying with you. Then you are saying, guys.
That's fine as long as we move past it.
Yeah, but
how will you know at the time?
Well, because I'm thinking, okay,
here's the thing. Then I'm holding it down. But guys, I'm human.
No, but even in the perspective where we
but here's the thing. Yes, this is very controversial. And I have different views about what a man should do, and it's still shaped by my community. I think a man should show up for his wife, right? Here I am showing up, trying my best, and it's not working out. Are you willing to pick up and say, okay, cool, it's tough here, baby. I'm gonna go be a personal trainer and do braids and do this so that we meet each other halfway. Or you're gonna look at me and say, I never get told you on Mosmo. So phonela chumtsa. Guys, namuto. I don't think that builds anything because I mean, men are human. We're human. I'm gonna hold it together, yes, but if I can't come to you, who is, your wife is the most important person in your life, and I can't share my vulnerabilities with my wife because she's gonna leave me. If I crack a tear here, now she's shaking, the house is shaking, one hand, whoa.
But that's also trust, because I need to trust Hore. You're going to cry and then sort it out.
Why don't you try that? Why don't you trust that I will cry and you can hold that space for me and I will move past it? as I have been holding it together for you
All
to
along.
trust me, to love me.
Guys,
But
this is hard.
but you've trusted to love me. You married me. You said all your vows.
And you said you were going to
And-
provide.
Yeah, yes, I said all of that. And it's 2022, 2023. Men have to be different. Men have to confront their vulnerabilities. And baby, here I am confronting it. I let go, no. And you are shook by that. You see, you also need to do some work.
Yeah,
Definitely.
No, it's a difficult. There was a guy friend of mine that we were just sitting. He was telling about the last girlfriend he had, and he said, he explained, "Oh, babe, this is the situation. These are the different things that I'm going through." And then he says, if she had just said it's gonna be okay, it's like,
That was
all
it.
I needed. Because he's a photographer, he does all these. He said she just kept quiet, and the look that said that next week I'm out.
It's done.
So
Yeah.
you could just
Definitely,
see
yeah.
a fight about nothing is coming up and this relationship is over. And he's like, and I really thought we were building and that she got me and I had capacity to be vulnerable. But same breath. So I'm telling the story to say I hear that, right? Same breath. There is a lot on women as well with regards to that. Because I remember... I'm that friend. I'm quite sure Films is also saying, when I was working now, and like everyone says that to me. I remember this one time I went on a date and the guy's like, hey, my wallet, hey, Shash girl takes out her card. So I look, already.
As a provider.
And then
flag.
it went
flag.
on, it went on like, oh, please give me money for electricity. And every friend that I would like tell the story about would be like, and in the same way, I must be honest, I mean, I did realize that eventually that I was actually being conned by this person, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Ne?
So
striking this,
can I-
maybe I can say we didn't really have a relationship. I mean, that was first date when that happened.
Yeah.
The second date was electricity. The stories were always piling on. So maybe there's a time, but I think you're also scared to be in this thing where you're being conned by this guy.
Can I ask, why is it conning? How many women have gone to first dates and have their bills paid for? How many women
But
have
you invited me.
How many women have been on second dates and talk about their hair and the guy buys that wig? How many women have been with this person in talking terms for a month and have had their rent paid for? So, you know what? I think the challenge about what you are saying, I understand it, but all of that is shaped by what we were brought up to see as normal. Right? Sure. Even me, I struggle. If a guy is not showing up how I think a guy should show up, pay for the bill, Baba. Hey, do this, all these things. I also have judgment, but that judgment is based on how I was brought up and told that a man should be that way. Yes, a man should look after a woman, all of those things. Does that make it right? Does it make it wrong for you to be in a position of power financially? And you meet this guy with potential, the same as we meet women who are young with potential and we believe in them. Does it make it wrong that you saw, man, this guy is a photographer, he's got a good eye, he's building. It's fine, I'll get this bill. Next month, just like other women, rent, or my thing. Is it a con? Is it honestly a
We
con?
definitely need to start looking at men as human beings.
Yes.
Because
Men
we
are
kind
human.
of take away that element from them and we think that they are these Wakandans, like, superpowered people
What's
that
not
they're not
superpower?
allowed to break down.
They're not allowed to
They
be
break
broke.
da- you know what I'm saying? They're not allowed to go through life at all.
Yeah,
Sure.
you can't.
But
We can't be seen in a different light.
So the question
And
is,
I
were you
struggle
being
with that
conned
myself.
or...
Yeah,
nah.
you
you were being conned. You were being conned. There you were being conned for
That
sure.
sounds like,
Okay.
Swindler. You were swindled for sure.
Like you
then let's agree that there are some women who are swindlers.
Definitely.
Of course.
Definitely.
Of course.
Yeah,
I'm just
so I think it comes down to their conduct.
I have a friend
they-
who was like, I'm a serial dater because guys
I
pay
want
for
thing.
the dinners.
Yeah.
She dates like a serial dater.
But you see,
Simply
our
because of that.
society and culture, which is a collective train of thought, fails us there because we celebrate a woman that does that will serial date, that will be upfront to a man that when we go for dinner, 10,000. send it first, then
Transport ticket lo inka kae?
yeah, you know, then I saw this thing on TikTok with this woman. It was so funny. She was saying, I don't understand why men don't know that a woman needs money. Why must I tell you that I need money? Or you must send that money, right? So take that same train of thought. We as men look at another man that sleep with a lot of women as a champion man that I injale. You know, and women don't like that, right? Because our society, from when I was young, if I can have more girlfriends, my father would be happier about me than being questionable with, hey, mfano waka man. Kari man, hey. You know? So, same as women, we celebrate a woman that is upfront. I mean, angfuni weave, mauza for it date, 10,000. So, what's right?
Sure.
What's right there?
Hey, okay. Drop us with what podcasts, books are you reading on vulnerability that got you to this place?
Brene Brown. Anything Brene Brown is amazing. There's a podcast I posted. I'm just so bad with words. I think I'll give you links, then you can put them up on your...
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah,
on your website.
Below.
Yeah, there's one. I might have sent it to you. And this guy was talking about vulnerability also in children.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book about boy kids. Yeah, that was amazing.
It was.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that book. Yeah. But the book I'm reading a book that I love reading every year called Sula, by Toni Morrison. It empowers me to understand maybe the condition of women or the challenges women go through. And it helps me look at women differently in a more empowered way that disregards my way of looking at them that's shaped by my community. That why does she have 2 boyfriends or whatever, you know, things like that. So Sule is incredible. And yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Justice, for taking the time to come share your journey with us, to encourage 1 or 2 or 10 or 100 other men to be more vulnerable. I definitely think, we need a lot more vulnerability without being on my high horse again, my soapbox, where men need to heal. I'm not going to do that. But I definitely think that our society needs more vulnerability, and we thank you so much. To everybody listening at home, thank you so much for always listening and supporting and showing love to the Conversation Capital. We love you guys so much, and we'll catch you guys in our very next episode. For now, though, goodbye and God bless.